Coronation Street has never been afraid to push boundaries, but the storyline unfolding between Tim Metcalfe and Trisha Pinkerton might be one of the show's most unsettling in years.
What started as an innocent reunion between two old friends is quickly turning into something darker, something that could shake Weatherfield to its core.
It all began earlier this week when Trisha appeared completely out of the blue.
Tim hadn't seen her in decades, and her sudden reappearance instantly stirred up old memories. She was charming, confident, and flirtatious, almost too much so. The two started reminiscing about the past, sharing laughs and stories about their teenage years. But there was something about the way Trisha looked at Tim, the way she leaned in a little too close, that hinted this wasn't just a friendly catch-up. Before long, Trisha began dropping hints that she wanted more than just a conversation. She brought up the time they'd been together, back when Tim was only 14 and she was 20. To her, it was all part of their shared history. To Tim, it was a story he'd told himself for years, one that made him feel special back then. In a moment of misplaced pride, Tim ended up bragging about it to Brian Packham, saying he lost his virginity to Trisha when he was barely a teenager. He even laughed it off, describing how all his mates were jealous at the time.
But Brian's face said it all. He was shocked, disturbed, and completely taken aback.
To him, this wasn't a story of teenage bragging rights. It was a story about a child being taken advantage of by an adult.
And Brian couldn't stay quiet.
In a tense confrontation later that week, Brian approached Trisha directly. He didn't sugarcoat it, he accused her of grooming a child. The air turned heavy.
Trisha was horrified, unable to believe what she was hearing.
She insisted that wasn't true, that Tim had wanted it, that it was all mutual. Tim, caught in the middle, immediately jumped to her defense, telling Brian he'd gone too far.
But Brian refused to back down.
He looked Tim in the eye and said that the line was crossed not today, but all those years ago, and by Trisha, not him. Later that night, Sally could tell something was bothering Tim. She knew her husband well enough to sense when something was off. When she asked what was going on, Tim hesitated before finally opening up. He repeated the same story, that it was all consensual, that it wasn't a big deal, that everyone his age had been jealous of him. But as he spoke, Sally's expression changed.
Something about it didn't sit right.
After Tim went quiet, Sally decided to look deeper. She scrolled through social media, and that's when she found it a chilling comment from someone online saying Trisha should be locked up for what she'd done.
The implication was clear: Tim wasn't the only one.
There were others.
That discovery made Sally's stomach turn.
She brought it up with Tim, but he brushed it off immediately, insisting she was overreacting, that people on the internet say all sorts of things.
But Sally wasn't convinced.
She could feel in her gut that something wasn't right. Meanwhile, Tim found himself thinking about what Brian had said. The words kept replaying in his head.
Could it be that his proud teenage story wasn't what he thought it was? Could it have been something darker, something he'd refused to see?
The turning point came when Tim talked with Kevin Webster, who was still reeling after discovering Abby's betrayal with his brother, Carl. Kevin's pain hit home for Tim. He started realizing how fragile trust can be, how quickly you can lose the people who truly love you. And for the first time, he started questioning his own choices. The next time Tim saw Trisha, the energy between them had completely changed. Gone was the playful nostalgia. Gone was the flirtation. Instead, Tim looked her in the eyes and told her it was time to end things. He said it had been nice catching up, but they couldn't see each other anymore. Trisha seemed surprised, maybe even hurt, but Tim stood firm. He knew that whatever had happened in the past, he needed to move forward, and that meant letting her go. But if you know Coronation Street, you know one thing for sure: people like Trisha don't just disappear quietly. And judging by her reaction, she may not take rejection lightly.
The real question now is, will Trisha stay away, or is this just the beginning of something much darker? Because there's still so much we don't know. Who was the person behind that disturbing comment online? Were there really others? And if so, how many more victims are there out there who've never spoken up? This storyline isn't just uncomfortable, it's deeply unsettling because it blurs the line between memory and reality, pride and trauma.
Tim's entire understanding of his past is being challenged right before our eyes. What he once saw as a fond, even brag-worthy memory might turn out to be something he's been subconsciously protecting himself from for decades. And if the writers are heading where fans think they are, things could get very dark very fast. Because if more accusations surface, and if Trisha refuses to back down, this could explode into one of the most emotionally intense storylines Coronation Street has ever tackled. As the tension builds, fans are left wondering, will Tim finally confront the truth about what really happened? Or will Trisha manipulate the situation to protect herself? Either way, this isn't just about old flames or unfinished business anymore. It's about truth, guilt, and the haunting weight of the past that refuses to stay buried. One thing's for certain: this story is far from over. And as it continues to unfold, it's set to expose not only the hidden pain behind Tim's past, but also the disturbing secrets that Trisha may still be hiding. Because on Coronation Street, every secret eventually comes to light.
And when it does, the fallout is never simple, it's devastating.